We got our first look this morning at the man accused of holding 3 women captive for a decade in Cleveland since he was arrested on Monday. A prosecutor told the judge that Ariel Castro is the captive now and the women are free. Castro was arraigned on rape and kidnapping charges, and he's being held on $8 million bond. Also in court were his brothers O'Neill and Pedro on unrelated misdemeanor charges that have since been dismissed. Today we heard from the mother of Gina De Jesus, who explained what it was like to reunite with her daughter after all these years.
After all those years, what did you say to one another?
Actually, we didn't say nothing. We just grabbed each other and held on. That's what we did. There was no words. It was just hugging and kissing and crying.
You were able to see all 3 of the women. How are they holding up emotionally, Nancy?
Surprisingly, they are doing great.
One of the aunts yesterday asked for the privacy of these girls. Dana, I think these girls should stay out of the media as long as they can, and
Absolutely.
I think we should leave them alone. What do you think?
Yeah, only when they're ready, and if they are ever ready to talk about it. It's amazing what love from your family can do to heal all the years of scarring that they have gone through. I do think there is something to be learned from this, however, and it might be that when they decide to talk, they might be able to help others from. In the statement, it says that he would lure them into the car by offering them a ride home. And that was always the thing that you were always worried, like, don't get in a car with a stranger. Or maybe he was not a stranger to them. Maybe he knew of them in the neighborhood or something. But I think that there is something that if they can teach other young women something in America, or help us teach children how to make sure that you do not get in a vehicle with anybody.
That's the thing that I found the most striking about this. First of all, that guy doesn't actually look like your first date, does he, Andrea? I don't think so.
Not exactly.
And for that dude pull up in a ratty old car and say, you want to ride?
Right.
I mean, somebody didn't tell those kids when they were young, don't get in cars with strangers, because that dude, about the last guy.
I don't think he was a stranger, though, because he was the father of a friend, right?
One of the girls.
Case, yeah.
Isn't there another lesson, though, Eric? If you see something, say something, even with the neighbors. I mean, Charles Ramsey said, I wish I would have been more heroic earlier. I mean, shouldn't people be a little more alert and into what their neighbors are doing?
Let me play off a little bit what Dana said. He said it himself.
It's his
he almost
statement.
Blamed them for what happened to him by saying, hey, you got in the car with a stranger. Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's one lesson, don't get in the car with a stranger. The other one is, if you're a neighbor of any, just say something. Just say something. If it looks strange,
you know when they said that the cops came because somebody said they saw a young girl tapping at the window in the attic.
Right.
And then in his statement, he says he used to put them up in the attic if people came over. And the cops come by and they're like, nobody answers the door, so they leave. Okay, I can understand that, but doesn't that somewhere in the community, doesn't it sit there and fester?
Well, okay, it's a weird subtlety, but in the past, you would hear. I mean, it was the deliverance joke that this sort of thing only happened in rural America, out in the woods, the backwoods. But today, many of our inner cities are backwoods. They're dying. The new outback is now the inback. The new breed of hillbilly is the city billy. As people are leaving the cities, you have houses like this that are boarded up with not a lot of neighbors going around, and this stuff happens because nobody bothers to look. They're too scared. But at least we stopped the Keystone Pipeline.
Well, if anybody saw your place, they would have the same reaction.
But if you call the cops, why wouldn't you follow up? Make sure the cops go into the house.
Right, that's what I think. That nagging feeling of I could have done more.
Welfare
but isn't it like, well, that's a private matter? Oh, there's girls in the backyard who are naked. We shouldn't say anything.
But
Mind your own business,
all
everybody.
All bets are off. There were 3 girls abducted 3 miles away from there. The cops should have been on notice that if it's strange, if they get a call, take the extra step. Open the door if you can, or look in. A couple other thoughts very quickly. $8 million bond doesn't seem low. 800 grand he can get himself out, and anyone can post that bond for him. How about $80 million bond? How about remand him to jail no matter what? And the other one is the 2 brothers get to walk, even though they had old misdemeanor parole violations. Yeah. But our friend, the filmmaker,
he's still in jail. That's exactly right.
Here's some good news. He could also face aggravated murder charges. This was breaking a little while ago for allegedly terminating those pregnancies. He could be charged with murder. This is another one. I'll volunteer. I'll fly to Cleveland. Give me the switch. I'm ready.
You are just out to kill
you're
today.
ready. You're in a hanging judge mode, aren't
Do you disagree, Greg?
It's weird. It's like I said, I'd like the death penalty before, but this one, there should be a job that is where you're allowed to do artisanal torture for the deranged, where you can come up with a certain. You know what? Put him in a cell, make Jodi Arias his nurse, and make Gosnell his doctor.
There you go. You know,
How's that?
just one thing here. I think it's symptomatic of America today. The neighbors don't know neighbors. Nobody pays any attention to their neighborhoods. Doesn't somebody think a house like that might have drawn a little
And they don't know
attention?
their local police.
That's right.